The new Spider-Man animated show is off to a terrible start. Since the first two episodes of Your Friendly Neighborhood Spiderman were released last week, it has faced massive backlash from fans. The sad part is that the criticism isn't about the story or animation quality, but about a major change: the race bending of Norman Osborn. But that doesn't tell the complete story. To understand the drama, we need to rewind to November 2021 when the show was first announced. Back then, Disney revealed the title Spider-Man Freshman Year, and it was set in the same timeline as the MCU's Peter Parker. However, because of limitations within the MCU timeline, the creative team suggested that the show take place in an alternate universe, leading to the title change we see today. This is where things started to get messy. The comic book, Your Friendly Neighborhood Spiderman, released in 2005, was set in an alternate timeline where everything felt unfamiliar to the casual Spidey fanbase. It presented a fresh take on Peter Parker's origin story, where Uncle Ben was already deceased before Peter gained his powers. This change altered the iconic "with great power comes great responsibility" lesson, applying it differently throughout the story. The series also introduced a unique cast of characters and villains not commonly seen in other Spider-Man narratives. There was no Gwen Stacy or Mary Jane Watson. Instead, Peter's world featured different friends and foes, including Nico Monroe from The Runaways, Pearl Pangan from Wave, and Lonnie Lincoln. In this version, Harry Osborn isn't Peter's best friend, but someone Peter saves from local thugs. So while the changes from the original comics were clear, they also gave showrunner Jeff Trammell a blank slate to reimagine other characters in the Spider-Man universe, including the iconic villain Norman Osborn. This is what Trammell had to say about the major changes, and I quote, "I think we're all coming with a preconceived notion of who Norman is, because again, there's 60 years of character that says this is who Norman is, and just from the second you meet him, our Norman is different. Our Norman has different nuances. He's got a different take, you know? He's still got that commanding presence and the power of a Norman Osborn, but in a different way." The first major change was to race swap Norman Osborn and his son Harry, who were originally depicted as white Caucasian males canonically in the comics. Fans were not happy to see that. Many believed the creators made this change simply for the sake of diversity, not because it served the story. Norman Osborn is now played by Oscar-nominated actor Coleman Domingo, who honestly would have been a fantastic choice to play Norman in a different setting. But as the saying goes, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Norman Osborn's race is considered canon in the Spider-Man comics, and Willem Dafoe's portrayal of the character in live action is widely regarded as one of the finest performances in superhero film history. There's a deep attachment to that version of the character, making such a drastic change hard for longtime fans to accept. But the race bending of Norman wasn't the only controversial decision. In this universe, Tony Stark isn't Peter Parker's mentor, it's Norman Osborn. That's a massive shift from what fans expected, and it's been met with mixed reactions. There's also criticism about how the show portrays gender dynamics, with some pointing out that female characters appear more muscular and physically dominant than their male counterparts. On top of that, the series has been called out for depicting white characters mostly as villains or thugs, while characters of color are shown as oppressed by the police and the system. It seems like Marvel Studios just can't catch a break, repeatedly falling into the same traps of toxic fandom backlash. Now, race-bending popular characters or adding subplots that address controversial issues isn't necessarily a bad thing, but when those elements overshadow the core story, they give fuel to online backlash and limit the reach of a show that could otherwise be widely entertaining. You'd think Marvel would have learned its lesson by now. It's not the first time this has happened. Shows like Marvel's What If and films like Captain Marvel were solid projects, but in trying too hard to cater to specific audiences, they alienated others. So, apart from all the controversy, is Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man any good? Surprisingly, yes. The show isn't just a fresh take on Peter Parker, it's a bold reimagining of one of the most beloved comic book heroes. Thankfully, the execution feels fresh and fun. The storytelling is dynamic, creating intrigue and excitement for upcoming episodes. The animation stands out, perfectly capturing the essence of early Spider-Man comic books with vibrant visuals and fluid motion. If the show can move past the backlash and focus on telling a great story, it has the potential to become something special. Hopefully, future episodes will do just that, bringing fans together rather than dividing them.